Live at 5, this is KGW, Northwest News Channel 8.
The best mode of transportation in our area tonight is a boat, and you can see why from Sky 8. Many communities in our area still underwater tonight due to the great flood of 1996. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the News Channel's continuing coverage of the great flood of 1996. I'm Tracy Berry.
I'm Jim Benham, and as we get started at the 5 o'clock hour, we suspect a lot of you folks just getting home. There's an awful lot to tell you about. Want to bring you up to date on this flood situation. Here's the situation at this hour. 31 counties in Oregon and Washington state have been declared federal disaster areas. That word coming down today from the president. Both the Willamette and the Columbia rivers have crested in the Portland-Vancouver area. That's good news. However, several neighborhoods in our area still underwater at this hour. The hardest hit areas right now, including Oregon City, Tualatin, Lake Oswego, and Woodland, Washington. And the director of the Federal Emergency Management Administration, James Witt, will be touring the Northwest tomorrow afternoon to get a first-hand look at those disastrous situations.
Another one of our neighborhoods still underwater tonight, Tualatin, where the downtown business area is truly struggling, evacuated this morning at about 11. Let's go up in Sky 8, where Larry Shoup is giving us a view of the Tualatin tonight. Larry?
Jim and Tracy, let's waste no time and go down below to downtown Tualatin right now. And that is what we all know, or what many of us know who have been down in this area. That is downtown Tualatin. As you mentioned, Tracy, almost completely underwater tonight. Stores, businesses, all closed. Library closed down tonight. Everything is just water. That, of course, the Tualatin River that has done that to this area. Down on the ground right now is Carol Jensen. Carol, what are you seeing from the ground?
Larry, I'm sorry. Can you ask me that question one more time?
Yeah.
I know you're just above me. I can see you.
Yeah, Carol, what are you seeing from the ground?
Yeah, some amazing sights. Boy, I'll tell you, ever since we hit the town of Tualatin, it has just been nonstop shooting and running, literally. We're at the Riverview West apartments where people here say, yeah, they wanted a Riverview, but not quite this much. Let me just show you the parking lot. Over here to my left, you can see that cars are just about completely submerged. If you take a look at the apartment building just behind the cars, the first level you do not see. It is underwater. Inside that building is the manager of the complex. He is up on the second story right now. He is staying there to try to protect what's left of the second level apartments that are okay at this time, because by now most of the residents have evacuated. However, take a look just behind me. You'll see some residents in a little dinghy, a little rubber dinghy. They're using paddles to make their way through the apartment complex. And I guess we're seeing some pictures from Sky 8 right now. Can you see them? Can you see the folks in the dinghy, Larry?
Yes, we can see the people in the yellow dinghy, Carol, and we saw the people in the canoe that just launched as well. This is a place we flew over earlier. It is amazing to see it from the ground. We couldn't tell just how severe the damage was, Carol, and from what you're describing on the ground level apartments are completely covered up, and we're talking about potential damage to second story apartments.
Well, what they're worried about are the belongings that are left in those second-story apartments. So that's why the manager has decided to stay. I got him to come out onto his landing, and I'm yelling at him from the street, asking him why was he still staying in his apartment. And he said, you know, if I wasn't the manager, there is no way I would be here. He doesn't feel that it's safe, but he wants to do the best he can to protect the folks who live here and who pay rent for this building. Can you see the canoe?
Yes, we can see the canoe right now, Carol.
All right, they're headed to their apartment. I talked to the gal who's sitting in the front of the canoe. She said she thinks that about 80% of her belongings are completely gone. She tried to get a few things out before the flood came in, but not much at all. She's headed back to the apartment to see what they can possibly do at this point. It is ground level. I'm guessing there's not much hope for them.
Carol, when we flew over earlier, and as we are seeing now as we pull back from that canoe, there were cars that look like we were seeing just the very tops of them. Are there cars that are completely submerged there in that apartment parking lot?
You know, I would have to guess that there are. Not all of them, because we do see some car tops. But I'm thinking that a little further down, as the elevation begins to drop, there are probably cars that are completely underwater. There is one car that's parked just below me, and it's an interesting sight to see. The emergency flashers are going on the car. However, the car is under so much water that that's about all you can make out is just the red glare of the tail light, the emergency light that's blinking off and on.
Okay, we just saw something we thought was a car earlier submerged, and it is even further underwater. Thank you very much, Carol. We're going to move on now to the downtown Tualatin area and give folks there an idea of just how bad the flooding of the Tualatin area is. And there you go, folks. Right there, just passing through the left-hand side of your screen, it was a common area, a downtown, almost a Pioneer Courthouse Square, if you will, of the Tualatin area. We're moving now into a yellow rubber raft some people are using, probably, I'm guessing, to try and survey the damage at their particular business. Trees there sticking up, looking very, very odd. You see a business sign there sticking up out of some very deep water. And looking at the way those people were walking through there, pushing that boat, it looked like it was probably waist-high water, and I'm guessing that would be 3 or 4 feet deep. Look at that. Looks like a river. It looks like something you would see somewhere out in the country, that water rushing through. But no, folks, that is downtown Tualatin. And as we were talking earlier today, not only downtown Tualatin, but much of it just recently built. The people of Tualatin extremely proud of the effort that they've made. It is a growing suburb, one of the fastest growing suburbs in the Portland area.
Hey, Larry?
They've had the money to spend, and now a lot of that money is being hit by the water. Yes, Jim?
Larry, if you can swing back a little bit to the left there, back towards the highway, there was that lumber yard that you were pointing out earlier in the afternoon. We talked a little bit about that cyclone fence, seeing all that lumber yard debris and some concern that it might pop through that cyclone fence, and you could see the fence bulging on that far side, certainly hoping that all that lumber doesn't end up floating into some of those business areas.
That's a very real concern, Jim. Yeah, you're right. And I don't know what you think, Jim and Tracy, but it looks to me, I may be wrong, and perhaps that lumberyard is a barometer, but it looks to me like the water is higher than when we were speaking several hours ago.
Oh, Larry, I think it's definitely higher. Either that or that car slipped downhill, because we were seeing the whole top what looked like a ski rack on one of those cars at the apartments. And, you know, now we don't see it at all. And you have to wonder, especially with those apartment buildings, certainly last night the warnings were going out for anyone who lived in low-lying areas to evacuate and to take their belongings with them, and yet it doesn't appear that anybody moved their cars there. City officials telling us today that the river just rose very dramatically and very quickly, so perhaps people were just caught unaware.
Perhaps caught unaware and perhaps caught unbelieving, Tracy, because I think that a lot of those people, as you and Jim and myself discussed earlier today, it is hard to believe that this Tualatin River, which is generally so sedate, would move so rapidly into this downtown area and inundate it so high. You are looking now at more pictures of what's downtown Tualatin. I think we're zooming out from a Pizza Hut restaurant, and as you can look from foreground all the way to background, nothing but high water, Jim and Tracy.
You know, Larry, another problem in that area as well, part of the reason they evacuated is because one of the sewer pipes, maybe several of them, have broken, and raw sewage is certainly mixed into that area, so they wanted to get everyone they could out of it. Now, what are we looking at, Larry? Is that the Fred Meyer we saw earlier?
Indeed, Tracy.
Well, there's
yes.
less parking lot there now.
Yeah, you are correct. In fact, that probably, again, yet another barometer there. There was a lot more parking lot there, and as we found out, that Fred Meyer obviously closed down tonight, and the cars in the parking lot, either cars that were stuck there and failed to get out, or probably more likely, because there is some access from the east side here, more likely probably employees, Jim and Tracy, who are trying to do what they can to make sure that the Tualatin River doesn't come into the store.
You know, Larry, even on a decent rush hour night when things are moving relatively smoothly, there's always such a bottleneck there at Nyberg and Martinazzi, with so many of the streets and so much of the access closed off. From your vantage point, are you starting to see some jams building up, traffic jams building up in that area?
Yeah, we are seeing some significant ones, Jim. As I was looking, as we were coming over here just before the 5 o'clock hour, we were over in Lake Oswego, where the canal leading from the Tualatin River to the lake is causing a lot of problems over there with flooding along that canal and possibly in the lake itself. And as I looked over here toward Interstate 5, the backup is substantial. We are going to be moving over to that very soon here. We're starting to move in that direction, and now you're seeing Interstate 5. Once you get past Nyberg Road off-ramp, which is closed in the southbound direction, once you get past the Nyberg Road exit, moving in the northbound direction, the traffic is moving very slow. It generally is slow this time of day anyway, only because not too far north of here is where 217 merges in with I-5, and the confluence of those two freeways creates quite a traffic jam. But I can even see a police car going in the emergency left-hand lane right now, moving down exactly. It looks to me, I can't tell if it's an Oregon State Police car or not, but it is a white police car down there. It is moving in the emergency lane. Exactly why, I'm not sure. I'm not spotting any accidents right now, but I guess that policeman is probably trying to check out and make sure that all the access is free through there. But you're now looking over the southbound off-ramp to Nyberg Road, completely closed down tonight, Jim and Tracy.
You know, Larry, you've shown us the incredible scene there in Tualatin on the west side of I-5. You could perhaps fan over and fan out to the left onto the left side of our screen and on the east side of the interstate. Just the incredible scene there along some of those strip malls, and right across from the Sweetbriar Inn, just a whole lake has developed back there.
Indeed it has. In fact, you mentioned that strip mall, and our photographer Carl Peterson is zooming into that right now. In the lower part of your screen there is a building under construction, and then right there at the very top right-hand part of your screen is that strip mall. And as you can see, the water of the Tualatin has gone all the way up to the back of it, and we cannot see the bottom part of that strip mall right now. We are going to continue flying right now over the Tualatin River, and I think we will head toward the Lake Oswego area and show you the problems with that canal, and we'll let you know when we get there, Jim and Tracy.
All right, Larry Shoup, thanks very much. Pilot Kim Ragnoni, gentlemen, thanks. And we can say from Woodburn, Washington, over to Lake O, Tualatin, up into the gorge around I-84, and then to points all the way in the other direction to St. Helens. Sky 8 was really up checking out the worst of the flood damage today, and we will be bringing you more of that Sky 8 video throughout this newscast from the hardest hit areas.
One of the areas we showed you not long ago was Lake Oswego. You saw where the canal is rushing in the water to the main lake area. Everything is rising, but those canal areas are the very hardest hit. And they are calling for more volunteers tonight in the city of Lake Oswego to try to help them out. I believe we have some information that we can pass along where to go to help. Volunteers, please go to Jean Road. That's right off of Boone's Ferry there, you know, over the G.I. Joe area. There's some businesses. You go down just a little bit more toward Lake Oswego, and you'll run right into Jean Road. Those of you who live in the area probably know where that is. Calling for volunteers there. Also, we'll pass along quickly that the town of Vernonia also needs more volunteers to sandbag their levee. So the pleas are going out tonight. Yeah, the people calling in from the city of Lake Oswego specifically using the term urgent. They've been having sandbagging help all along. Right now, putting out an urgent call for help. Go to that 5705 Jean Road address right there. The News Channel Shannon Burney is joining us now over the phone. She is in that Lake Oswego area with more on the damage. Shannon?
Hello, I'm on Sarah Hill Lane, which butts up or backs into the Key Lock Canal. The canal that usually goes about 2 to 3 feet. Well, right now, I can't judge the water level, but I'd say it's easily 6 to 8 feet into people's basements, into the bottom level of people's homes. We're seeing folks who've had just a wonderful response, though, from neighbors, from passersby, people they don't even know, perfect strangers who come by, help them move all of their furniture, all of their furnishings and belongings that are in those lower floors out of there. And in some cases, people say it took only 10 minutes to get everything that they were worried about getting water damage from, everything moved out. And we're seeing even more houses here trying to get belongings, furniture moved out right now. We have about 7 houses here on the canal that are directly affected, but the water level at the edge of this canal, at the edge of this Sarah Hill Lane, it's starting to rise too, and folks are getting a little nervous. And in fact, I talked to one homeowner, Carol Reed, and she says that luckily she's going to move all of her belongings over to her daughter's house, but her daughter too lives on one of the canals that feed into Oswego Lake, and so they're worried about whether or not the water will reach her daughter's house, will cause flooding in her daughter's house.
Great, Shannon. We'll check back with you a little bit later on. Obviously, many of those homes in danger. Shannon says the water's already in some of them.
Sky 8 headed in that direction right now. We'll have more live coverage from Sky 8 coming up.